Perhaps former White House acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney just hasn't been out of the game long enough, only having been reassigned last March. While he is ready to admit a few things about Donald Trump and his presidency, he isn't willing to completely cut ties, as former National Security Advisor John Bolton has with his upcoming book that has earned a few court actions by the Trump administration. Mulvaney was initially the Director of Office of Management and Budget and became the acting Chief of Staff in January 2019. John Kelly, his predecessor, had a deteriorating relationship with the president, so Mulvaney took over, running the OMB while also being the Chief of Staff. He had a tough time backing Trump through the Ukraine investigation, though. First, he admitted there was definitely a quid pro quo with the Ukraine aid that Trump was holding onto until Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky would agree to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Then he tried to take that back. At a time when Trump is dumping those who are disloyal and replacing them with allies he sees as more loyal, Mulvaney wasn't completely kicked to the curb. He became the U.S. Special Envoy for Northern Ireland, a position that has been vacant throughout Trump's entire presidency. He was replaced with former Congressman Mark Meadows, RNC, as Chief of Staff. So Mulvaney still has a job, meaning it wouldn't be prudent for him to attack Trump or his administration. But he did allow that Trump didn't hire well initially when staffing his administration and chalked that up to his inexperience. If there was one criticism that I would level against the president, it is that he didn't hire very well. He did not have experience at running government and didn't know how to put together a team that could work well with him, Mulvaney said on CNN's New Day. Yet, the former chief of staff still factors into the narrative as told by Bolton in his new memoir. A conversation with Mike Pompeo is described, with Bolton saying the Secretary of State thought Mulvaney would do essentially whatever Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner wanted him to do as acting Chief of Staff, which worried both of us philosophically. It was also suggested in Bolton's tell-all that Mulvaney may have been the one to come up with the plan to withhold aid to Ukraine in exchange for the investigations. Bolton also accuses Mulvaney of leaking negative stories about him. Bolton joins Kelly, former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer, and former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson in sharing negative stories about the Trump administration. But again, Mulvaney is still on the payroll. He said Friday that many of those individuals who have shared stories about the Trump administration are folks who are either in the military or actively involved in the military. He added that the military personality is just not the type that works well with Donald Trump, who's a small businessman who's done extraordinarily well. Perhaps no one ever told Mulvaney that Trump was enrolled in the New York Military Academy, a private boarding school. Perhaps he also never learned that while enrolled at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, he obtained 4 student draft deferments, then was permanently disqualified because of bone spurs.